Hola, ma pipilia. Um, I wanted to make this video. I spent like $7 for this. Seriously, and I almost gave it a lucky cigarette. We don't do luck, we do excellence. I wanted to make this video as both a theme-related video and a training aspect video, and it will give the members some idea of what the training is like, what training I offer specifically, and what training other spotters may have similar things. Not this precisely, I'm the only one who will give you this particular sort of training, but others will have other things of that nature. Do have other things of that nature. For our initiates, this video is extremely important for you because you will run into this at some point. It's if you're training with us, and especially if we're one of the initiates that are training under me, um, this is vital information for you because it's very likely that this is going to happen regardless. So I wanted to make this also as kind of a parting ways thing. It's both a video for the initiative and a video for the directive. And I want to say to the members that are not a part of the directive, that are not, initiative members, that are not training with us, that are not initiates into, our discipline, as it were. We are about to step onto a bigger stage. The last kind of meeting that we had between the directors of other initiatives, of other groups, and it had like upwards of 7,000 hits right off the bat. Like, boom, 7,000 people. So we are getting on a more public domain. I know ultimately that doesn't seem like a whole hell of a lot of people, but compared to the 300 that we've managed to gather here, uh, you know, there was a lot of people that didn't. There was a lot of people that dropped out. There was a lot of people we couldn't accept. There was a lot of people we had to boot. There's, you know, it's still piddling. It's a small number, but we are very proud. I'm very proud to have collected all of you, and we're gonna keep going. But once we set onto this stage, we're gonna face severe scrutiny. You wouldn't believe some of the shit that I'm taking now, the brunt of which coming directly at me. And the initiative is not aware of it. I don't allow these things to get through to you guys. And I've kept us separate from this arena because of this fact, not just to protect members from vicious shit you wouldn't believe what some of these people do and say, but uh, to keep you separated from that because we don't condone it and we do not advocate it. And we know that a lot of you will jump on it, that you'd be happy to get in arguments with trollers and jump into that contest and confliction uh, aspect of the whole internet lifestyle, I guess you could say. But we don't advocate that, and we don't want to advocate that. We don't want it to be a part of what we're doing. But it's inevitable. It's going to happen very soon. So on the flip side, members, you can post anything you want to. You can post any messages that you want, so long as it does not break protocol. You can post any fucking messages that you want for anything, fighting for any cause. We are a revolution against carelessness. We are a revolution against laziness, a revolution against cognitive dissonance. We have no particular cause other than that. We need to get people's asses in gear because the planet is in a state of affairs right now where it requires close maintenance. And when I tell you this story about my experience for the theme and as a training course, you might understand. You might get somewhat of a grasp on it. Now, it's important that I teach you about this myself, in my opinion. What I'm going to be talking about here is the Kundalini impulse. That was the initial training that I had. It was kind of what my training had been leading up to, and there were several other aspects that I'm going to be teaching you guys that happened before then in my personal evolution, but this is the most important facet of it all. And I want to teach you this myself. I think it's important that I do this because if you go online, you're going to find a lot of people lying. You're going to find a lot of people bullshitting. You're going to find a lot of people who don't know what they're talking about but think they do. And you're going to find a lot of people who have it active, but they don't know how to use it. They don't really know what it is, what it's capable of doing. They don't have, nobody gave them the advanced user's guide for the human entity. We're going to give that to you. We're going to give that to the directive, and anyone in the initiative that wants it, you're welcome to it. The training is not going to be exclusive. There is no exclusivity here, and there's no hierarchy. You guys, anybody that wants to join in, join in. And when you see that the things that we're teaching are not, you know, off in any way, that it's simply how to improve yourself in many ways, improve everything that you are. Doesn't negate anything, doesn't add anything. It just improves you, amplifies you. So anyway, I wanna tell you my experience with the Kundalini impulse. It is a dangerous, dangerous thing. It's a violent thing. If you are not in pristine condition, it can tear you apart. And my spotter, as I was saying, she wanted me to take the long route, the perfectly clean, natural, no kick starts, long term natural route to get myself perfectly balanced. She wanted to balance my values, get my system in perfect condition before I activated it. I didn't wait. I couldn't. How could I? She gave me, when I saw her, she gave me an idea of what this is capable of doing. If you'd have seen her, any of you saw her, you'd be extremely impressed, and you'd know why this is happening, why we're doing this, why our tradition is so vital to us and to you as well. If you get into it, it's your decision. It's not, if you were not a spotter before this, you can be one now. But there's a pretty likely chance that any of you that are still with us now already are. You just are untrained and you don't know what is happening to you here, so to speak. I'm going to teach you about the maintenance of it, the maintenance aspect, because that's what most people struggle with, and many people already have it active. Many people already have encountered this and they don't know what it is. They're going to get symptoms of it, and it's scary shit that can get to you, and you're not going to be aware of what it is or how to manage it. And it really is very simple. But to continue my story, I activated the impulse early, and I'll give you training on activating the impulse after I teach you how to maintain it first. But I activated it early. I jumped on that. I used triggers. I used shortcuts, and I activated this impulse early, and it was amazing. I may have figured I should. The experience of that in and of itself was very similar to the experience of dimethyltryptamine, as I told you in the last experience video. It's very, very similar. A whole new world opened up, but it wasn't a different world. It was as though the world that's hidden in this world opened, and I could see everything happening. It's just so much happening at any given point in time. There's so much time packed in every single moment. You have no idea. There's so much happening. There's so much to consider. There's so much to play with. Because you can do a whole lot of things if you're just fast enough, sharp enough, if you're paying attention, and you have the will to leap, to do it. When I experienced it, it was like everything just sharpened. I don't know really how to explain it. It's like I suddenly just became aware of all of these things that are happening around us, all of these minuscule values, what everything seems to mean, what everything seems to be saying about itself, the world speaking to you. And a lot of you might experience this through synchronicity. You might experience something of that nature, and you might catch it every now and then, the world poking its head out saying hello, waving a hand at you, so to speak. But That is happening every second. That's happening everywhere. It's always, the whole world is focused on you, just like I said with the DMT experience. I mean, that was a different world, so to speak. It was a different kind of, it's tough to say because in my opinion, the dimethyltryptamine kind of opened me up to seeing a reality behind the reality. I think that it was just a deeper view on what this world really is, which it's all focused on you. Everything is watching you. Everything is on you. And if you look around and you talk, and yes, it can be doing that with all of us at once. It is. It's always talking to all of us at the same time. It never stops. Never, if you pay attention to it, it will never shut up. And the more that you listen to it, the more it'll talk. It loves you. It can't stop loving you. Like, very, very kind of viciously loving you. It's not a bad thing. It's, sorry, that's the wrong word, but the world loves you. And the world will take care of you if you let it, if you work with it, if you know how to talk to it. I can make you the personal promise, if you do not break our 3 rules, if you live your life by that code, and you don't have to go any further than that, you live your life by that code and the world will protect you. It will watch out for you. But if you experienced this, and it wasn't just my awareness that opened up, it was my awareness of myself. My spotter used to say a lot. She used to say to me every now and then, when she was in a particularly good mood, she'd say, "Now I can feel myself inside." And I never got that until after I never got that until recently, because I couldn't. We'll get to the story. I activated every engine in your body, those nerve centers, the nerve clusters in your body that attach to certain organs, and pretty much are like the transceiver between electrical energy, current, electromagnetic energy, just chi, jing, motherfucking prana in the air, everywhere. The ether that connects to this body and animates it is coming in through the brain and through these engines called, that they call chakras, that we've called chakras for a long, long time, but I call them engines. I like that. But they are energy centers that, where energy pools up, electromagnetic energy pools up in the nervous system, and it gets stuck there a lot because you have blockages, because you're controlling everything. Your brain is functioning at 100% all the time. That 10% brain bullshit is a myth. Your brain is always functioning at 100%, and it's paying attention to everything that's happening. It knows everything. It is, in fact, causing everything all at once. Your brain's making your heartbeat right now. You're doing that. That's an act that you are doing. You just don't know that you're doing it because you put it on autopilot. It's your sense of trajectory in play. And, a lot of the things you do when you throw a ball, like you catch a ball, your brain is behind on that. You don't actually, your eyes do not see the ball until it's already gotten to you, but your brain thinks backwards, and it plans for it, it anticipates it, and it knows exactly how to calculate that. And that's something that you are in fact doing. You're just not aware of it. This activating this impulse made me aware of everything, and it lit up every engine and filled me up inside with this energy that I was capable of controlling. And I was trained before then to control it, so I don't know if if you actually activated it like this, that you just kind of know that you have a feel for it. I don't know if that's the case because I was trained to manipulate it earlier, but we train you to do that anyway. That's something that I'm gonna have to make a video on as well. But it lit up my whole body. It filled me. My spine felt like a lightsaber, is the best I can describe it. Like it lit up like oh my God, like a white hot orgasm creeping up my spine and getting into my brain, my back of my head. Just, oh my God, the feeling is so intense and so outrageous. It's just, there's no way I can't really even think about it to try to explain it to you without kind of like getting it and feeling like an orgasm inside. So I'm gonna just keep on it off of that for now. But that's what it felt like. It was the most amazing thing ever. It was like I had not been operative before then. I had not known myself and what I can do before then. Before that moment, I had no idea what was going on. I was blind until then. But afterwards, it crashed because it will activate like that for anybody. If you do it manually and you activate it, you use the training that eventually I'm going to give you, you will activate it and it will happen. But it's kind of like you have channels that are plugged up and clogged up, and what happens is that thing just forces its way through. It breaks out from the bottom of you and it climbs up your spine and it climbs through these energy centers and it just rushes through and it breaks any barriers, that anything, any blockages, any imbalances. It just fucking barrels right through them, and you don't notice it at first because you're ecstatic. Your adrenaline is rocking and rolling. You are activating your adrenals. You're utilizing your adrenaline consciously. You have a lot of unconscious reaction responses to things that happen in the world. This impulse gives you coordinated, operative, efficiency decision, and put your hands on the wheel of life. But you don't notice at first, as I said, because the adrenaline's pumping. You're feeling ecstatic, but it has actually done some severe fucking damage to you, and that damage will roll back down afterwards. You can be prepared for this. It's not something to be afraid of. We can prepare you for this, and that's what I intend to do. Is I will make a preparation video as well. I want to discuss the maintenance of it once it's activated right now because people may be experiencing it already. Um, Honestly, I can't imagine there's not at least one person who might accidentally activate it just by watching this video, truthfully. But once it started rolling back down, and again, it's coming back to my experience of it, the first thing that happened was I started getting migraines and I started getting this noise that I don't know what it is or where it's coming from. Really, it comes off of everything. If I get close to something like a computer or a refrigerator or what have you, if I get close to some kind of piece of equipment that's emitting any sort of a signal, I hear that. And I'll hear it coming from everywhere else, and it's just pouring in. The doctors call this tinnitus. If you have severe tinnitus, if you have chronic tinnitus, that's a symptom of this. It's not, they tell you they don't really know where it is or where it comes from or why it's happening. I'm telling you right now, it's a symptom of this. And the noise might be useful for something, I don't know. I've been trying to figure that out. I use it kind of for meditation. I focus on it, but it's always blaring, this noise, and never stops. And it's layers and layers and layers of different static frequencies and weird, like radio signal kind of sounding stuff. It's just very odd patterns, and it repeats patterns forever. It keeps repeating the same patterns. All these different layers each have a pattern to them. But that noise started happening. I started freaking out, and I had no idea what was going on. I couldn't handle it. I didn't know what to do, and nobody could help me. They all looked at me like I was crazy. So I just started having panic attacks, losing my shit. I backed out socially. I couldn't interact with anybody. I had to hide and just have panic attacks all the time. Now that began another chain reaction wherein the doctors medicated me for that. That was bad. That was not. I should have known better considering that it was in my background already. But at that point, I was willing, and already this is just out of the gate. I was already willing to let them test on me to try and figure it out. The next thing that happened is it got to here. It swelled up every gland in my body. I went into the hospital a few times, into the ER about it, because every gland swelled up. My body was burning up in a rat. I had fever, rash. I had just the most severe chronic shittiness all over. Every single gland swelled up at the same time, and couple that with the migraines and the noise, and I'm losing my fucking shit. Not to mention that things that I was seeing was amplified as like seeing electromagnetic halos around things, seeing energy fields, auras around things, that was amplified too. But I never considered that a bad thing. So it didn't hurt me in any way. But every gland swelled up. I went to the hospital, the ER a few times, and like the third or fourth time that I went in and said, "Look, dude, you got to do something for this." They thought I was like a pain seeker or something, so they finally ran proper testing. They came back and they said, "You know what? It looks like you have AIDS. Like you just got full blown AIDS out of nowhere." And I said, "No, no, you better take that back and test it again." So they did. They tested again, and they said, "You know what? You're right. It's not AIDS, but we don't know what it is. It presents like that. It presents like your immunity system is on the fritz, but we don't know what to do." So they gave me a treatment for rash and let it be that. They gave me some painkillers, a treatment for rash, and left me up. And the next thing that happened was hit the heart area, and my hypothesis is that it must have glitched and jumped because it put a hole in my lung. My lung collapsed out of nowhere. Again, this happened for nothing, for no reason. The doctors just say, "Oh, it's just something that happened." No, shit like that just doesn't happen. The body is designed very precisely. It doesn't just fuck up for no reason. So my lung collapsed. I went through my first major surgery there, and that was bad news. And I can't tell you all the chain reactions that caused in my life afterwards, because I had severe nerve damage. They had trouble getting the tube into my lung. They had trouble uh, inflating my lung, and they caused a lot of nerve damage. I hate it just thinking about it right now. But um, it was very painful, this nerve damage afterwards. For years, for 3, 4, maybe even 5 years, I was in the most excruciating pain, and I lost everything that mattered in my life. I couldn't do anything. I was beaten by this, and I was on the verge of wanting to kill myself all the time. So I started drinking a lot to kill the pain. Started drinking a lot of alcohol, and I became totally alcoholic. I couldn't I couldn't maneuver, like it. Spend the day writing in my room. I would sit there and I would write and hang out with friends. Some of the people that are with the initiative now kind of lived with me back then, and I'd hang out with friends and I'd just drink. I get drunk when I got my first apartment. That's how I spent my time, going to the bar, coming back home, because I would wake up and be in such fucking pain that I just wanted to die. I wanted to kill myself. Not just like, I really wanted to kill myself. So, and that was every day for all that time. And the drinking, obviously, that had a backlash, because when I had to quit drinking, my body started rejecting the alcohol after so long, and when I had to stop and quit, I went through the withdrawals from that, which was some of the most difficult things. It is the most difficult shit I've ever been through in my life. It was terrifying, and sometimes I wonder if I didn't actually die back there, and this is an afterlife kind of thing, afterlife dream. But it's not. But anyway, got down past that, and it flared up in my pancreas, and that was obviously a backlash from the drinking as well. But it multiple. It's climbing downward, so it makes sense. It's gonna hit that anyway, and the drinking exacerbated it, and that's what happened. The pancreas flared up, but then that started a chain reaction where it moved some of my pieces out of place, and they had to cut me open and take some things out because they were blocked up, intestinal blockages and such. They had to bust me open and rip out my guts. That would have been my third major surgery. I'm not. The other one was second one is unrelated. Um, Now it hasn't reached down to my pubic region yet, and I'm fearful of that. But I'm hoping that I got it under control by now, so that that doesn't happen. But seriously, it broke its way. I felt the collapse of this impulse having damaged me inside, and it took me the longest time to figure out how to maintain it, which is what we're getting to. The maintenance is, there's a dude, Gopi Krishna, who writes about it. He can tell you precisely what the diet balance you want, what you want to eat. You need to eat heavy food, starches, because what this thing will do when you figure out how to use it, which I'll teach you how to use it once it's activated, how to I don't know what to call it, how to forge it, I suppose you could say, and utilize it. It burns your energy, and it doesn't matter if you're actively using it. It constantly burns your energy. Your metabolism becomes so high that you can't eat enough. And there are certain herbs, certain herbal sort of medications you can use to fight this, to combat it, and to keep it from forcing you to eat, $300 worth of food in a day. Or seriously, it will start eating you. If you don't eat enough, it will start eating you. You have to provide it, and you have to provide it the correct fuel. And this is the bottom line on it. You cannot use drugs to satiate it. You cannot use alcohol. You cannot use any dysfunctional substance of any sort. And you can use natural substances like the psilocybin we've talked about, or even the dimethyltryptamine, to reset it, restore it, to balance it out, and to learn how to work with it. Most especially, psilocybin can help you learn how to work with these facets of your body you will not have been aware of yet at this point. But bottom line is, it's going to keep burning energy, and if you give it the wrong energy, it's going to hurt you for it. And I mean hurt you bad. Like, it's difficult to try and explain, but it will start to eat at you. It will totally disregard, the drugs you give it. If you give it alcohol or something, it's going to reject it. It will purge you. Your body will reject these things if you try to give it to them, and it will go at the gut and try to get fuel. You have to give it the correct fuel, and like I said, you have to give it the correct fuel. You have to keep feeding it, but if you give it the right sort of fuel, you don't have to eat as much of it. And if you use some of these natural herbal medications that I'll tell you about in person, you'll be able to. With Mitragyna speciosa is the one that I use most often. If you use that, it'll calm down the appetite, it'll calm down the need for it, it'll balance it out, and it's a balancer. This herb is a balancer. It's very, very good for that. It's very good for you. It's good for the digestive system. There's nothing wrong if you use too much of it, which I probably do. It can have somewhat negative side effects, but I mean, it can have like a slight sort of kind of withdrawal if you stop immediately, which is really just a kind of being uncomfortable because, you've been using it as something you're not. If you've been using it for a while or using too much of it, you become comfortable with it. It's like if you quit smoking, it's the same kind of, it's not a dangerous sort of withdrawal, is what I'm saying, but you will get that mild side effect. And it can make you sick if you use too much of it. But other than that, it's perfectly healthy and it's very good for you. And I highly recommend it for anybody suffering with any sort of addiction. This can help you get off that, exchange it for something healthy. But use that, feed it properly, feed it starches, feed it heavy foods. We are starchivores. People are starchivores. Eat lots of starches, heavy foods, peanut butter for one. It's a particular initiate that I'm thinking about hates peanut butter, so good for her. But feed it heavy, dense foods that it can chew on, that it can masticate for a while, and you can keep going. And pretty much, I guess that's pretty much the gist of it. Is that if you're balanced psychologically, you're good with yourself, and you don't have like, if you do things like psilocybin and such, and you experience that, it'll help you to balance out. It'll teach, it'll face your demons for you. That's why the mystics call it a little ally, a little helper. These mushrooms and such, these herbs, they're allies. They are helpers, and they will fight your demons for you. They will help you get through your battles and balance you out. And if you have experience with that, and you've balanced yourself out, and you've taken care of yourself, which when I activated the impulse, I was not prepared. I was also, smoking a lot of pot and dicking around with other things, doing synthetic drugs and shit. I was an asshole with my body at that point, and I wasn't totally familiar with myself. Really, I was not ready. I was not balanced, and that's pretty much get yourself balanced if you intend to activate this. If you think that it might be active, if you have anxiety attacks or panic attacks, that's a symptom of this. Doctors will tell you we don't know, it's probably stress, it might be fears. No, it's a symptom of this, I promise you. It's this energy is awakened in you to some extent, maybe not fully, but it's alarmed, and it's waking up in you, and it's fighting to kind of get free, and you use that nervous energy again, teach you how to use that, but you use that tension, that energy, to you kind of rebound off of that, and you can create a kind of a lift effect with yourself, and you can move faster, you can think faster, you can think ahead of things, you can see what's happening, all the values that correspond with each other, see the web work of the world, and you can read it, and you can use this impulse to do amazing things. I'm telling you, it's a human superpower. It's just, it's out of this world crazy when you finally get, which hopefully you don't have to go through the negative things. We're not going to allow that to happen. Anybody that I'm training, we're going to get you through without putting you in danger. You're not going to have to go through what I did again. As I said before, as a vanguard, I go ahead and I do things, reckless, stupid things, so that I can be aware of the dangers and I can forge ahead for you to make sure that the hazards don't get to you. And that's what I've done here. And I should have seen that all along. I was afraid of it. I was afraid that if I taught somebody this, that I'd be responsible for that happening to them. But that's not the case. We can make it work properly. A lot of people have. A lot of people you see on YouTube and whatnot that talk about having it active and how they're living with it. Some of them dealing with, to some extent what it's capable of doing. But I haven't found anybody that actually knows how to use it properly, put it to use, and really move with this thing. Sixth gear and punch it. Um, Most of them are trying to maintain it. They're struggling with maintenance. So, I guess this is for them too. But that is the issue. Balance yourself out, be psychologically arranged, understand yourself, come to grips with yourself. You don't want to have a lot of guilt if that's something you have, or, regret. If these things you have piled up in you, stress, guilt, regret, anger, especially, get rid of anger. Face these things, deal with them, figure out what values are causing for these things to happen and eliminate them. Just get yourself going. Figure out what's happening with yourself and take charge. I can't get in depth with all the psychology of it right now, the sociopolitical aspects of what makes up a human mind, but you can figure that out easily. It's not something I should need to teach you. You have all the information you need. You're holding it in your hand right now, likely. You're watching it, on television. You have the answers at the tip of your fingers. So figure out how to figure yourself out, take charge, balance yourself out, be confident, be strong, and balance your body, and don't be on drugs. Don't be using drugs. Any drugs that you are using, you're going to have to either clip that, or you're going to have to get to a real slim kind of management level. If you need it, if there's anything you're using that you need, it's a note, that's a red light. If there's anything that you cannot get by a day or two or a week without, you need to deal with that first. You need to deal with that now. If you're having the panic attacks, if you're hearing that sound, that noise, if any of these things are happening to you, you need to deal with the psych issues that you might have, and really just be fucking honest with yourself, man. Examine yourself. There's nothing to be afraid of. Really need to be honest and open with yourself. Visibility is key to everything. Visibility is what we're trying to teach, ultimately. But be very honest with yourself. Be honest with others. Be open. Be free. Open up these channels in your body. Get rid of any addictions that you have to go. Get rid of them. Any addiction. And you know what I'm talking about. You can find other things. I was a bit of a promiscuous kind of sex addict for a while, and to cut that out, I've had certain things pop up into my life that kind of, certain ladies that would bring that out in me, and it'd be a scary thing that maybe that would pop out again. But I've got it under wraps, and everything everything's working out for me now to the point where I've not only figured out how to manage this and balance it and keep it from harming me, but and keep it from harming others. It will give you a kind of a feral rush once it's activated, and when this energy builds up, you can build up a charge and you can let it rip in short bursts. This energy will pop up and it will magnify you, and there's all kinds of things that will happen. There's all kinds of cool little like superpowers that you have that you can use right now. You can magnify your awareness, you can magnify your presence, move very fast, do incredible things. But when that surge builds up, it'll give you kind of a feral rush feeling where you might find yourself from time to time just grabbing something and breaking it for no reason. Try to resist the urge to break things if you're dealing with this. And I said, just stay balanced. Just keep yourself. Treat it if you want to activate it, or if you feel that it might be activated and you want to deal with it. Cleanse yourself. Treat it like you're gonna do a ritual trip, if you know what I mean. And if you don't, then look up online and figure it out. Treat it like you're prepping for a ritual, you know, uh, ceremony, uh, psychedelic type ceremony. Like you're going into a trip that you need to be prepared for. You need your mind and body balanced and focused, and just keep it that way. And if you get to the point where maybe you run out of the herbal supplements that I have and will propose. If you run out of these remedies, then eat. Sorry, it might spend your cash pretty quickly, but it will spend you quicker. You need to eat. You need to keep eating and providing dense foods for this thing to chew on, because it'll start chewing on you, and it will do damage to you. I haven't figured out how to turn it off yet, but then at the point I'm at, I don't really want to. I can't imagine being anything lesser at least than what I am now. And I'm gonna keep going forward, keep pumping it up. I'm gonna keep doing better, and I'm gonna drop all of my addictions at some point. Obviously, not anytime soon, unless I just decide to out of the blue. But who knows? When we start dealing with this psychedelic journey, who knows what kind of decisions I might make. Anyways, I'm running out of time here. I have to go. Um, you get the gist of it. I love you guys. I sincerely wish you the best with this. I hope that everything goes well with you for everything you're doing. Kila Salai, Teriuni Siari, Namaste. I will see you guys on the flip side. Show to the directive.